Going to start our meeting. We have a full house today. Two public and maybe somebody in Ohio? Well, she's not going to acknowledge it.
Yeah, there she is, down in the left-hand corner.
Morning, Marie.
Morning, Marie.
Okay, we are called to order. Public comment. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Any comments, changes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved, 5-0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, status of construction project. I reported to the Board of Selectmen that we had a good January. And we are bumping along since then. The extra items include taking out the concrete ramp that nobody had identified under the accessible ramp at a tune of $9,000, was it? A whole bunch of rotted sill, which is probably not a big surprise, but still was not in the, we didn't know, we didn't see it. We've got a price tag of $25,000 on that. We have a few other miscellaneous items. I may not remember them all. Waterproofing at maybe $2,500. Testing that should have been identified by the architect in our original budget and wasn't, that may cost $10,000.
Testing of what?
Concrete, soil conditions, things like that. The sort of stuff that in a home project probably nobody bothers about, and in a public project you do lots of testing. There's lots of things you do in a public project that helps push the price up, but is seen to be necessary in the public good, seen by somebody anyway to be necessary. Our big item, as I believe I talked about last time, was when was that section of 19 what? When was that last third section of that building built? Anybody got that in their memory banks? 1910, 1920?
29, I thought.
Oh, was that late?
Yeah, maybe. In
Okay.
the 20s, I'm saying.
So apparently at that time, they didn't build the concrete blocks on any sort of foundation. I don't know anybody from then who can tell me if that was common back then or not. Our structural engineer claimed that was shocking. But I don't know if it's shocking, but in any case, he said it could not be allowed to stay as is. Others have questioned whether it's a bit of overkill on his part, but we're a public project and we're going to be careful. The contractor came back in, did I say this last time, with a cost of $200,000.
At the meeting,
Did I?
yeah.
And our project, OPM, owner's project manager, architect, and structural engineer all thought that was way too high. We're a little bit over a barrel in that this is an extra, so the contractor can give us what price he wants. And we can check unit prices and things like that to try to knock them down, and they were in the process doing that. And maybe if lucky, we could have knocked it down from 200,000 to 150, I don't know. But basically the structural engineer said, this is a ridiculous price, we can consider alternatives. The first one he proposed, did I talk about this, was injecting the soil
Yeah.
and creating a bulb footing. And then I guess he decided, he didn't want to pursue that. And now we're going to helical piers. Did we talk about that last time?
No.
Not last time, but you did talk about it
Okay.
Monday, yeah.
So helical piers, and you can look it up online, it's very interesting and not all that expensive.
Spell it, please.
Helical. Helical piles, helical piers, it goes by a few different names. You create an arch that somehow transfers the load bearing from the wall to these piers. So for this stretch of wall, which is 40, 50 feet, I don't know. The structural engineer has designed 9 piers, 5 on one side, 4 on the other. They're staggered, they're holding the wall up. We have a nice drawing of it somewhere. And it's specialty construction. The structural engineer gave it to the architect who wrote it up. as again, the structural engineer does this procedure, so he works with a company who knows how to do this. Our general contractor has never done this before. He was not too happy about it, but this is how we wrote it up. We got him in touch with a company that does this work. They might be meeting at this very moment. They're supposed to be meeting this morning before our job meeting at noon. We're anxious. So now that we finally have the two parties together, and it took a bit of doing to get that done, but now we're waiting for a price on this one. It should cost less than half of that $200,000. I have underestimated every cost so far, which means it won't be that good. But in any case, we're hoping, anxiously awaiting that cost.
Will you send out an email with the amount?
I can, yeah.
I just looked it up because I was curious, and it says the helical piers can cost between $15 and $30 per foot, but the installation per pier can go between $2,000 to $4,000.
Yeah. I was seeing,
9 times 4 is 36.
yeah, I was coming up with 30,000, but then they've got some other work to be done. There's going to be mobilization, but even so, to go from 30,000 to 100,000, you'd think they're not going to go that far, but who knows?
Yeah.
Or 36,000. The big issue is access. They're putting all the what's the word? Rebar for the concrete walls. They've done the new concrete footings. They're moving very slowly, which is actually to our benefit right now, since we have some things unresolved. So they've got all the walls formed. If they pour all that concrete, they're going to have trouble getting in. So the one thing I give credit to the OPM for is the structural engineer sort of said, yeah, we're fine. We'll just go this route and we're all set. The OPM raised some questions and said, are you really going to have adequate access? We had a group meeting via Zoom and decided they had to leave an opening in the concrete wall. So it's proposed to leave a 6-foot by 8-foot opening in that concrete wall. That'll be a change order. That'll bring us closer to that $100,000. There's actually a chance we won't have to do that opening based on what we find out this morning, but we probably will. So anyway, let's just say that all comes to $100,000, and all the other extras are another $100,000. What's happening is, and apparently the town administrator has figured out this course of direction for 3 or 4 weeks, but I'm on a needs-to-know basis. So he is, this was on the select board meeting Monday night. He is proposing to fund this through a sinking fund that is apparently coming from the sale of town land. I have no idea how much money is in that fund. He doesn't want to say.
Well, if you add up the various things that have been sold lately, you can probably figure
Okay. But
$350 for the firehouse.
we've got a select board put in to fund the concealed condition items, which at least includes this wall, the rotted sill, and the concrete ramp. Those all appear to legitimately be included under this category. They've put in an amount of $250,000 as a placeholder. We're hoping by town meeting that number will go down. But that's a clearly identified source of money that's going to basically save our project. So that's the good news. Things have been going very slowly the past month. What I was going to ask you, Sandy, is if there's no special meeting, originally the plan was to have funding that could be spent right after town meeting. If it's not special meeting, if it's regular annual town meeting, the
Well,
funding
this-
becomes available on July 1st. But with this source of money, I don't know which is the case. Putting you on the spot like that, you may not know.
Well, if it's, yeah. Funding from the town, regular town meeting is July 1st.
Right.
That's a huge delay.
Even from the sinking fund, you
I
think?
don't know the answer.
Well, so we don't know. But in any case, if it becomes available in May, we're in good shape. If it becomes available in July, we have to do some fancy footwork that somebody else is gonna have to figure out how to do, because it involves town finances and money going forth. And if we don't get approved by voters in town meeting, which I think is unlikely, then I don't know where we stand. So we think we're okay, but there's a lot of ifs in there.
I don't even know if there's time, let's see, what is it, the end of March? Is there time to even call a special at this point?
Usually they do the special within the annual.
Right.
Not this year.
Right, there is no special inside the annual this year.
Wow.
That's new.
That's where your dilemma is, okay.
That's
But I
new.
think in the warrant draft that was issued Monday night, there were a couple of items that were called special. So I think they are going to do a special. They've got a couple of things in there. But that didn't say they were gonna, but they were titled, they were at the end of that packet,
Take a
you know,
look.
special items. I don't remember how they were.
About 3 weeks ago, I was granted a meeting with Joe Powers. At the time, he said he was trying not to do the special.
Right.
I pointed out to him the funding implication because of that, but it sounded like he was still going in that direction.
Which
How it
is-
resolved, I don't know.
He wants to keep this warrant as short as possible, which is why we have 17 capital items in one article.
Well, he may want to not have a special, but that's a call by the Board of Selectmen.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
question I have is, so this, we can safely assume that we will not be done by April 30th,
Absolutely.
okay? That just helps the society with their planning as to what was or wasn't going to happen. And we knew that by March, we'd be knowing if we were going to be opening in June, meaning the building, the big building, or not. So it sounds like not.
I forget which person of the society I talked to about a month ago. I was trying to pose if there was a comfort level about not opening this summer, and it sounded like that was the way to go.
That's what I would think.
I mean, I think we're comfortable with that. We just, it
Didn't know.
just changes some planning and
Yep.
decision,
Yep.
timing and.
You did ask the meeting, the question in the last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have a short memory, so.
read the minutes.
I did, very quickly.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
We had a question last time about the furnace and whether.
Yeah, I want to get to that, because
Okay.
I
I've been
left,
bugging him about
I left
that.
Sandy hanging on that.
Yes, you did.
I almost called you and then decided, no, I should wait for the
Well, we had
meeting.
a motion that Sandy would go to the FinCom.
Yeah, we've got the ability to go to FinCom. You've already talked to FinCom.
I talked to Peter Hughes and, queried as to whether this was an appropriate use of an emergency transfer from their reserve fund, and yes, it is. He thought it was an entirely
For the
appropriate
heater.
ask for the boiler.
Yeah.
So I'm relying on Sean Libby. He does not want to go that route at the moment. I think they're hoping to get the money to do this, and it's on this capital plan, from the same source, from the sinking fund.
So in the meantime, there's no heat there.
That's
But
right.
there's no article for it.
Don't have an answer for you.
I think we should have gone to the FinCom 2 months ago, but that's just my opinion. It looks like less of an emergency because it's been allowed to sit for 2 months. Even if we didn't use it, I think we should have gone to them, but I already mentioned that, I think.
I'm more worried about the water situation there.
Is it possible to go inside and check on the artifacts and the condition of, like, make sure we don't have a water leak going on in there too?
The building is drained.
Okay. But I mean, check on the artifacts, see how they've done.
I'm sure I
with
can
the
arrange-
lack of heat.
I'm sure I can arrange that.
I have the keys, all the keys. If people want to meet me there, I'm certainly happy to let people in.
I should go with you,
Sure.
just to make sure.
But the building, by part of the boiler being out, and all the other issues, that building was drained 2 months ago, 3 months ago, early on.
They didn't leave water in there for the fire?
No,
No.
all the suppression systems had to be, the fire department said if it's gonna be under construction, blah, 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 blah. It was all drained.
So there's no sprinkler
That's
system.
the concern, all of it, but
We don't need special permission to go in?
I would say no, but I think we should be careful. We should, if you let me know when you want to go in. We have to go in through the bulkhead, and we go down the stairs and then can go in that way.
And there's supposed to be a lock on the door going up the stairs, so we need that key.
Yeah. So I just simply have to arrange either with the general contractor, or our OPM has a guy who's on site just about every day, which seems way excessive to me, but that's another story. I just have to arrange it with people, and we'll be able to do it just about any time. So just tell me a time and I'll make the arrangements.
Sure, just to check it out.
We can set a date offline.
Yeah.
You just let me know what you find, because I think too many in the building is not good at this point. So just the two of you would be absolutely fine, if that's okay.
Okay, folks, so that's pretty much what I have to say about the status of the construction project. Any other comments?
I'm worried that there's no water there for fire prevention.
The building doesn't have sprinkler systems through most of the individual rooms, so it's really just in the hallways. The rooms with the artifacts don't have an overhead sprinkler system, and they haven't ever. So I'm not as concerned about that, especially since we didn't have emergency heat sources running.
You probably don't want water on your artifacts anyway.
Well, no, that's
No.
why you don't have them
Yeah.
in those rooms, but
Right. God forbid it should go
there
off
are
by
other
accident.
places, and I don't trust the electric in the building, and, it's old electric, you never know.
Well,
They are looking at some major system mechanical upgrades. Again, the funding source I can't speak to. All I know is the buildings facilities guy said he's working on it, and I haven't felt that we should go to FinCom on that basis. A difference of
we
opinion.
differ on that
Yeah.
entirely, yeah. Kind of a moot point right now, anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna keep moving. I mentioned the positive that we're gonna be able to allow to use the sinking fund pending voter approval. The negative is that Joe Powers feels that with $250,000 or whatever it is to be put on as an article for the sinking fund and to finish this project with $690,000 CPC article, that the $600,000 that he had originally laid out for the capital plan, which would have been funded by free cash, he is saying that should go away for this coming year.
Why?
Can't think of anything I want to say publicly on that. Don't know. I think it's a bad idea, I will say that. I think we should ask, I think I would like to seek a motion to request certain items to be put back in the capital plan. I will point out that the $600,000 that he had in there, and you folks have my do you guys have a copy?
This was
Linda,
kind
you
of-
got it?
This was gonna be for,
Repairs for the inside,
Repairs.
So this was put together because a year ago, I was able to work closely with town administration on the capital plan. A year ago, the main item that Joe Powers added was $600,000 to mitigate repairs to interior walls following lifting of the building. Well, we never did lift the building. There are plenty of interior wall repairs that are needed, but those were needed before the project and are still needed. So in any case, by him suggesting now to remove the $600,000 for that item, I'm okay with that. However, I had been pushing a year ago, and I updated it in September, for, in conversation with Sean Libby, replacing the roof, additional gutters and downspouts, And the next item is a bunch of items from the 2020 structural engineering report. The first of which, replacement of rotted wood, et cetera, I think we can do under the 2 CPC projects. But there's several other items that we need money for. And all of the mechanicals, I got a feeling that number is no longer valid, that 75,000. But in any case, those 3 items totaling $325,000, in my opinion, should be in the first year of the capital plan. So that rather than get rid of the capital plan entirely, I would say, okay, we can wait on the interior walls, because we've actually suggested waiting on all of the interior stuff pending further conversations with the society. But we need these. Yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me, David, so you would be saying you would like to see which specific items?
Okay.
Stay on 2024.
2000.
Window sills?
I put 3 items in 2025 because it looked like we were spending $600,000, all this money,
Got it.
and that was me being fiscal conservative, so that was my recommendation. Now I'm saying, okay, goodbye $600,000, we'll support you on that, but we need the roof. We need the gutters and downspouts. We need to take care of all the items in that next grouping, and we need the mechanicals.
Got it, so you're just changing 2025 to 2024,
For 3 items.
which is the mechanical,
Yep,
So
the
325
150, and the roof,
yep.
or the elevator, the roof?
Yeah, not the elevator.
Yeah.
That's going to be, in my mind now, a major discussion between the tenant and the owner, i.e. society and town.
I think the only thing that the society would be concerned about, and I'll speak personally, but from board discussions, is taking out mitigation to the interior walls. We have no idea once we go into that, it gets put back on its little pins, and there's a foundation, and, you know, everybody can go in and out, what those walls are gonna look like. And if there is damage, I mean, there are places, as Marie can attest, where the plaster is being held to the wall by the wallpaper. So if there is, and you can just see the roof, the ceilings, and, you know, there are places where there's any little bit of rumbling. If there's damage to those walls, I'm not sure how we can open.
So let's move that to another year, because we're trying to go from the bottom to the rest of the outside and then go inside. That's currently what I'm suggesting.
But if something is seriously damaged, I mean, if there's a wall that has basically fallen down, once we get the building back in July or August, how is that gonna get repaired? Because we certainly don't have the funds to repair that, bless you.
Thank you.
That's what I'm saying, is there's stuff that has to wait, but if there's a wall that has fallen down,
So,
there's
Will it
only
even
so much
pass
we can
occupancy?
hide with pictures.
so the major support of this building, the temporary supports that have taken place while this new concrete foundation is being poured, all of that work has been done. So it has to be finished, but, you know, take a look when you walk through it. The walls are pretty much, and Marie would have been most familiar with this, but they're pretty much like they were before we started this project.
Well, the other question is, once they get the foundation set and the building is reset on the foundation, you have to give the building a little time to settle.
Mhm.
What happens to those walls during that time?
Right.
There's going to be damage that is going to occur.
And I'm suggesting to you in this capital plan that we finish the outside,
Yeah.
watch that for a year, and seek it on the capital plan for the following year.
So you're saying that we need to stay closed for at least a year based upon what could happen to the interior because we're letting it settle? And the fact that the walls could, we
There's a
could
lot
have
of
pieces
things
of
that,
plaster
there are a
falling
lot of
down.
things that could happen. The museum was able to operate before all this construction with the walls as they were.
True, but construction causes more damage, and we don't know last thing we need is to have somebody go walking through and have a piece of the ceiling come crashing down on their head because it has gotten more unstable during the construction. And it was just hanging there by a thread.
Have somebody look at it.
So in my thinking, it's still better to finish all the outside stuff.
Oh, absolutely, I'm not
Windows and the
disagreeing
siding.
at all.
And I'm not saying get rid of that item, but we can't afford to do all of this coming year.
Because I'm just trying to figure out what the timeline for opening could also possibly be.
And also, I mean, I guess, maybe we don't do the whole 600,000, but maybe this board commission would say 100,000, just in case there was something that was, as has been stated, the wall came down, or something is that bad that duct tape holding it together isn't going to function. So maybe going from 600 to 100, just in case.
But if you,
But you're talking about 325, David, right?
right, if you're talking 325,
I'm
and then
talking
if,
24,
I'm
and
talking,
600.
I know, but I'm saying, I think we should move all of these other items to the current year. All the ones that you just marked in 2024.
Just switch them.
Flip them.
Now, do you want to add to that some of another 100? You see, I'm trying to stay, if I take a 250 for sinking fund, and I want to tell the voters no more than that 600 that was originally talked about, that leaves us 350 to play with. So that's how I was doing the math, and it's sort of an arbitrary thing.
Well, you first need to get the selectmen to agree to changing the order of the capital plan.
Right, and they
Which they're
haven't,
doing to a degree anyhow. You next have to get the voters to approve it by a 2/3 vote, and third, you need an article to fund it.
well, the 600, right now it says 600,000.
They haven't,
They haven't
Okay.
taken it out yet.
okay, but if they don't put a funding article in,
Yeah.
then it's like it isn't even there.
But we got a meeting today, and we could say we would request that you not take the 600 out, and here's what we think you should do. Or that you reduce the 600 to 350 or whatever the number we want to choose.
But you still have to be specific about what the plan for that money is now. You can't leave the descriptions the same if you're planning to use the money in a different way.
Mhm.
So that whole language has to be essentially flipped.
Well, I guess I'm suggesting that we decide what we want to ask for and then make that proposal.
Right. And maybe we could ask for less than 600, maybe 500, which would cover, whatever. Again, they're funding it out of free cash, so.
Or we could do the 325 plus Linda's suggestion for 100, which would bring it to 425.
That sounds reasonable. You just have to convince the selectmen.
Yeah, I'm not saying this will be easy, but I'm saying
No.
that's the position that this group should take.
Yeah, and it is the selectmen's decision at the end of the day. It's the town administrator can suggest it, but it's the selectmen who will make that decision ultimately.
So what that would be, and again, anyone correct me if I'm not hearing this right, would be to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that we amend the capital plan so that 2024 now reads reduction from 600 to 100 for mitigating the repairs to the interior walls. That we add 100,000 for the roof and the gutters and downspouts. 150,000 for the items from the 2020 structural engineering report, as further detailed here, and 75,000 to upgrade and replace the mechanical equipment, for a total of 425,000.
So the motion would be to ask the selectmen to move basically the first three items currently scheduled for 2025. Amend the capital plan, move those to 2024. You don't
Now,
need,
the thing is,
you don't need to actually move the 2024 600,000 because the funding article takes care of that. And it can be less than what the capital plan says, because the capital plan projects are only estimates.
Okay, now, there are some complications.
Always.
Like I said, I worked with town administration a year and a half ago. This one, Joe Powers asked all the department heads and all the commission heads to submit something. I submitted this. I never was given the opportunity to discuss this. So this includes some things that are different from what the capital plan actually says. The capital plan showed some of these items to have been done in the year that we're currently in. In other words, a year ago town meeting, the capital plan called for $250,000, of which $150,000 was supposed to be OPM, and $100,000 was supposed to be the roof and the gutters and downspouts. There was no accompanying funding article that was done last May, supposedly due to the town administrator's oversight. So we scrambled, and in fall town meeting, we were supposed to replace those items, but the way it was written was for the OPM only. Basically, in my opinion, town administration forgot the roof and the gutters and downspouts. So how do you tie that into the motion? I don't know. These are things that were supposed to have been done already, according to the capital plan.
According to the capital plan. But were never funded.
They were never funded.
Okay. So with that in mind, there should be a funding article for those things to go along with last year's vote on the capital plan.
Then you could ask for $100,000 to cover the gutters and downspouts that was supposed to have been voted a year ago. As could be a separate item.
Mhm. Right.
Go ahead, Lynn.
This warrant has to go to the printers, I believe it's April 11th, early April 11th. It's now the 22nd, and it's Wednesday.
And they will be doing,
Respectfully, writing a letter to the town administrator, which will take 2 to 3 weeks to get onto a selectman's agenda, which means it's after the warrant has gone to the printers, is gonna make this entire conversation a bit on the moot side. Is an alternative suggestion to get downstairs, because they're doing the agenda Wednesday, Thursday mornings, they have to post it Thursday morning, is to get down to the selectman's office now, request a line item on their agenda for Monday night that says, discuss these things in public. Because otherwise, we are going to be out of time and out of luck, and we will have no museum to run.
I was under the understanding at last Monday that they were going to be talking about this in further detail this coming Monday.
Okay, but do we know that for sure?
No.
So again, going downstairs, checking the agenda, is this going to be there? Our board is certainly happy to be there and speak in support, but we need to make sure it's on the selectmen's agenda Monday night, so it can be discussed before things get finalized, it's printed, and we're looking at a November special town meeting in order to finish it, and we have holes in the wall. And that's probably not in our best interest.
okay, so we need to get on the agenda for Monday. That's step one, right?
Yep.
Step two is we need to know what exactly we're asking for.
Yep.
So what you're asking for, if I get this right, is number one, funding that never took place last year.
Yep. And that would be just for the roof and the gutters and downspouts.
All right, so funding for the 2023 article for the roof and downspouts. Yes?
Yes.
And that's $100,000?
Yes.
Okay, step two. You want to move, let's call them items 1, 2, and 3. up 1 year on the capital plan.
Except these were I think that some of that's already in the capital plan. I'd have to,
Well, we need to confirm,
I think what I would say is, I think that those other items, the repair items from the structural engineering report and the mechanicals should be put in 2024. And I think I should have to double check to see what's already in there. If this board says we want those items in now,
all right,
since it appears that the 600,000 is going to be reduced.
so we want to confirm that 1, 2, and 3 are or are not covered,
Yeah, I think we should say that we want them covered.
and if they're not covered, that we would like to have them moved
Yes.
so that they are covered. Okay.
Yes.
1, 2, and 3. And move if not. Just trying to get you a motion here, David.
Mhm.
And what else? 2024, we would reduce that amount of 600,000 to 100,000? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. 24,
Reduce 600 to 100?
yeah. Interior walls.
Well, that was following Linda's comment.
Pardon?
That's following the, no, oh, she's gone. That was following Linda's suggestion.
All right, so reduce that to 100,000. Does that take care of all of it?
Yep,
Okay. Would you like a motion?
yep.
You ready? Okay. I move that we request the Board of Selectmen to include an article funding the 2023 capital plan. And that we further confirm the capital plan for 2024 to ensure that it includes items from 1, 2, and 3 of 2025, and if not, that we move those items into the 2024 capital plan. And that we request a reduction in an article for the 2024 capital plan to reflect a reduced ask of 100,000 down from 600,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous, 5-0. Thank you very much, folks. I will get this in front of the Board of Selectmen today.
That was a workout.
David, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
With that motion, would you be amending this?
Yes.
So if we went before the Board of Selectmen on Monday, we'd all have a piece of paper in front of us?
I'm going to write it up again, because this is just,
Your-
this has no standing.
That's okay, but I was just wanting a piece of paper before we got to the meeting on Monday. That was my only question.
Yeah, if we could actually maybe email whatever you do with
Whatever I
this.
sent to the board, I will make
And
sure
then,
everybody has.
Okay.
Also maybe, does everybody have a copy of the proposed capital plan? No, we need to find that too.
Yeah, I haven't,
The
I don't
official one.
have it.
Okay, well, I can
I
find it.
can probably pull it up in an email, but it's gonna take me a while.
Oh,
Well, it's in the town
it-
documents.
It's there, it's just.
When it first came out in January, I looked at it and we still had all the money in there, so I
Well,
thought,
let
great.
me find it. I think I can find it and just email it to everybody.
I can find it too.
All right, somebody can find it.
Thank you.
It's in there, and we can at least compare.
All right.
Would we want to possibly schedule a meeting like next week after all of this information comes together, just in case we need to?
That's a smart idea, just to see where our standing is.
That's fine.
I know you just love meetings, Dana.
Comes with the
Just
territory.
trying to help.
I'm following your lead on this one, folks. You tell me what you're interested in.
Any day but Thursday of next week for me.
Well, what about, what is today, Wednesday? What about next Wednesday, same time, same
Not,
place?
no.
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 Nope.
I can do it Wednesday, but I can't. I got something scheduled between 10 and 11.
Well, why don't you
No, let's figure out. We got all 5 of us here. Let's figure out.
Okay.
Tuesday?
That's after the board meeting.
Or do you want it before the
Oops,
board's
I got-
meeting?
No, after the board's meeting.
I can't do Tuesday.
Friday?
Well, what about Wednesday on a different time?
That works.
It works.
Oh, that's March
After-
29th?
Afternoon?
1 o'clock?
I have lunch, I can't, well, I wouldn't be able to make it, but that's okay.
Well, if we had it late in the afternoon?
Yeah, you could do it after lunch, sure, that'd be great.
3 o'clock?
Sure.
Janny, you,
I can't make 3.
all right, I got to give you precedence over Anita since you're
course you
board
did.
member.
Or,
You can take notes.
is there any time?
What time next
is there any
Wednesday for
time
you,
like
Janet?
late afternoon, like 5 o'clock even?
5 o'clock I could do, yeah.
4 o'clock? Okay.
If we have pizza. Yeah. Just kidding.
Thursday?
4 o'clock?
Sure.
Okay.
No, I have a meeting at 3 for an hour and a half.
Okay,
Oh,
so you
okay.
would have to be 5 for you.
Yeah, 5
Um,
for me.
What
or
about
early morning.
Thursday? Is that,
I'm out
Thursday
Thursday.
night.
okay, Friday?
Friday works.
Friday looks,
We might not even need it, but just in case.
Friday morning?
sure, I'm okay.
Okay.
That would be better for me too.
What
9:30?
time Friday?
9:30?
Okay, I might have to leave, like, if it's longer than an hour, because I have an
We
appointment.
never go longer than an hour.
I can do it then.
The
I
only
get very
meetings-
grumpy if we go longer
The
than
only
an hour.
meetings that are longer, that are shorter than this one, however, I have to go on record, or it's the charter review committee. We're usually good for about 45 minutes.
So what date is that?
So what time?
31st,
9:30?
Perfect.
Okay.
it'll be here.
I guess that was all the new business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that
Just
it
in
wasn't enough,
case.
it's plenty, but.
It's always good to have some reason to exist every once in a while.
Capital plan.
Got it.
You got it?
Well, I'm not sure if this is the right one, because Joe is in a meeting, and this is the best they can do. They don't know if it's made any changes, but you can't get the capital plan.
So what you got?
Joe.
What's on there?
What is on there right now for Brooks Academy is in FY '24, $600,000,
Right.
just the number.
And that's
There
that's
is-
current.
There is nothing else on here for Brooks Academy Museum Commission.
You mean after this year, you don't have anything for the following
That's what I
year?
just said.
That's not right.
Well, this is what she gave me downstairs again. When Joe gets out of his meeting, she is going to, the lady, I forget which one.
Danielle or the newer one?
The newer,
Patience.
Patience, that was Patience.
Great name for that
I
office.
know,
Yeah.
great name, she's gonna need it. She's gonna check with Joe, and she will get whatever the most current one is. She's gonna email it to you,
Okay,
and she said she'd email it to me, so at least.
thank
But
you.
there's nothing else, if this is the most recent one that was in the Board of Selectmen's packet.
Okay.
And it doesn't have any CPC articles on it listed,
Wow.
which it should, because they're supposed to be on the capital plan, or they need a 2/3.
You know, I brought that up following your comment a year ago. And the town administration basically said, no, we don't have to do it that way.
And when I was still on the Board of Selectmen, the Legal Beagles told us we had to, or it would require a 3/4 vote, Sandy, or a 2/3 vote. But it would be something other than a majority vote if it wasn't on the capital plan and you were trying to get it funded.
I was,
I could dig that memo out.
It would be 2/3
Yeah,
at
so
least.
it was a 2/3 vote as
Yes.
opposed to simple majority.
when I saw that, when you posted that, I was thinking that was the CPC, and obviously I'm wrong.
No, it's not, there's nothing on here, here.
This whole process is.
Well, they're treating it
so
as if
leveled.
the CPC is a separate process. I don't know if
But it's
that's correct
supposed
or
to, but
not.
it's
It's
supposed to be on the.
Yeah, I know, you
capital
both are telling me that. And I
Regardless of
hear
the-
something else in town administration.
Regardless of the funding source, and any change in the order of the remaining 4 years are supposed to be at 2/3 vote of the town meeting. The problem, as you look at previous capital plans and try to suss out this one to try to make any kind of apples
Hey,
for
Linda.
apples comparison, it's practically impossible.
Linda, I finally caught you on something after all these years.
What's that?
Um,
I'm not surprised.
It's small.
It's
FY
small print and I'm old.
FY 24, 600,000, 25, 175,000,
What does it
26,
say?
350,000, 27,
Does it say
350,000.
Brooks Academy Museum Commission?
It does.
Or does it say the property address?
It says facilities maintenance, 80 Parallel Street, parenthesis, Brooks Academy.
Okay.
1.475 million. So we just want to keep all that in there and move it around a little bit.
Well, you have all the
I got the vote.
authorization you need to do
It was just-
whatever.
It was too small for me to, I can't read that small.
I just take my glasses off. I can still do it.
Don't they just love it when you make a mistake?
Absolutely.
And they just grind it in.
Yeah, it's a guy thing.
But I don't know
Who's
if that's
this?
the
Eddie
most-
Eddie Mail on the side of that side of the equation?
Pretty much.
But I don't know if it's
I
that.
plead
is
innocent.
the
Little
most
magical
current.
moments, isn't it, huh, David?
What else we got? I'm ready to leave.
You're outnumbered.
Oh, I can tell that.
Hard to say he's outmanned, though, right?
I'm probably turning colors right about now. Which is hard to do at this age. Anybody else got anything?
Yeah, I do. I
Go
still, appreciate the time and the effort that you put into this, and I
But-
realize that it is probably getting close to burnout phase for you.
Mhm.
And I don't know of anybody else that I can think of offhand that could have threaded this needle as well as you have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
No. But I do
If we-
appreciate.
If we get to bust your chops a little in return, that's just fair.
I do appreciate it. Motion to adjourn.
So
On that note,
Second.
thank you, everyone. I got more work to do today.